Okay, this is the review that I sent out, and I thought I would work it through so you could watch it. This first page is kind of a way I came up with testing to see how well you knew with the Gaussian elimination. And each of these 6 matrices are different. They're not related to each other in any means. So that very first one, that's a problem in itself. And once you get that done, you go to the second one, it's a problem to itself. So as you go down, let's just start with the first one. When you look, you say, okay, what needs to be done? So I've already got a 1 here, so that's going to be my pivot. So the thing I have to do is get zeros down below. So I'm going to take -3 times row 1 and add it to row 2. Row 1 stays the same. -3 times 1 is -3, plus 3 is 0. -3 times 2 is -6. -6 plus 2 is -4. -3 times 3 is -9, plus 1 is -8. And -3 times 3 is -9 plus 1 again is -8. On the bottom row, to get a 0 where the 4 is, I'm going to take -4 times row 1 plus row 3. -4 times 1 is -4 plus 4 is 0. We knew that. -4 times 2 is -8. -8 plus 6 is -2. -4 times 3 is -12. -12 plus 7 is -5. And -4 times 3 is -12 plus 5 is -7. And that's it, you're done. You don't have to go any farther than that, sorry. You don't have to go any farther than that. That's that one problem. You're not going on. Now you go to the second problem. You just forget the first one's even there and just look at this one. So when you go here, you have to get a 1 in the first slot. The first problem had a 1. Here you got to get a 1. And you can do it one of 2 ways. You could switch rows if you wanted to. That would be the easiest. Or you could multiply through by 1/2. I'm going to switch rows. So row 1, we're going to interchange with row 2. So 1, 3, 7, 8 becomes the top row. The second row is 2, 1, 5, 6. And 4, 6, 5, 2. And that became your pivot. I don't necessarily have to circle it, but that becomes the pivot up there. Okay, now we go to the third one. The first column's done. The second column's done. Here you go. Sorry. The first column's done. The second column's done. We go to the third column. We have the 1 here, and I need to get 2 zeros. So to get a 0 where the 4 is, I'm going to take -4 times row 3 plus row 1. So -4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is still 1. -4 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is still 0. As I told you, these first 2 columns are not going to change once you get them where you want them. -4 times 1 is -4, plus +4 is 0. -4 times 2 is -8, plus 6 is -2. To get a 0 here, we're going to take -3 times row 3, add it to row 2. -3 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is 0. -3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. -3 times 1 is -3, plus +3 is 0. -3 times 2 is -6. -6 plus 8 is 2. And of course, the last one stays the same. I said this before, but just a side note, you never do more than 2 rows at a time. Can't do all of them. Okay, let's go to number 4. So number 4, the first column's done. You go to the second column. I got a 1 here, but I need zeros. So I'm going to use that 1 as a pivot. Need to get this. See if I can. I'm not getting it so it's get the whole thing on there. Now you probably won't be able to read it. Okay, hope that works. Okay, so get a 0 up here. We're going to take -2 times row 2, add it to row 1. So -2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. -2 times 1 is -2, plus +2 is 0. -2 times 5 is -10. -10 plus 3 is -7. -2 times 6 is -12. -12 plus 4 is -8. Second row stays the same because that's where the pivot was. You don't change the pivot one. Then on the bottom, all we have to do is take negative row 2 plus row 3. So 0 and 0 are 0. -1 and 1 are 0. -5 and 1 is -4. -6 plus 7 is 1. Now here's a problem where when you look at this, somebody's going to say, well, why can't you just take row 2 minus row 3? The simple answer is because you never subtract. You cannot subtract over here. This will always be a plus here in the middle, never a minus. Okay, let's go to the next one down here. First column's done, second column's done, third column I need a 1. Where the 2 is, I need a 1. So the top row stays the same. Second row stays the same. And to get a 1 here where the 2 is, I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm simply going to take 1/2 row 3. So half of 0 is 0, half of 0 is 0, half of 2 is 1, and half of 6 is 3. And then you go to the bottom one. First column's done. We need to get a 1 where the 3 is. So the top row stays the same. So the second row, to get a 1 where the 3 is, I have to take 1/3 of row 2. I almost put negative, I don't know why. 1/3 of 0 is 0. 1/3 of 3 is 1. That becomes my new pivot. 1/3 of 9 is 3. And 1/3 of 1 is 1/3. And the bottom row stays the same. So that's page 1. Page 2, we got to solve by Gaussian elimination. So you got 2, 1, -1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, -1, 0. Got to get a 1 where the 2 is. Now I can multiply by 1/2, but that's going to give me fractions. I look down here, I see a 1. Let's just switch row 1 and row 2. Row 1 switches with row 2. So the second row now becomes the first row. 1, 1, 1, and 4. Then the second row is 2, 1, -1, 4. No. 2, 1, -1. Sorry. Copy that row down here. And then the bottom row stays the same. This becomes my pivot. Top row is going to stay the same. Now to get a 0 where the 2 is, I'm going to multiply by -2. That's -2 times row 1 plus row 2. So -2 times 1 is -2, plus +2 is 0. -2 times 1 is -2, -2 plus 1 is -1. -2 times 1 is -2, plus -1 is -3. -2 times 4 is -8, -8 plus 1 is -7. And to get a 0 in the bottom row, we simply take negative row 1 plus row 3. -1 plus 1 is 0. -1 plus 1 is 0. -1 plus -1 is -2. -4 plus 0 is -4. If if you're understanding these problems, you can look at what I got and you're saying, oh, I see a couple things that's going to help us later on. I hope you're at that point now. Okay, now we've got to get a 1 in this second column. Remember, go on the diagonal, so -1. So, top row stays the same. Second row, I'm simply going to take negative row 2. Just take the opposite of it. So 0, 1, 3, 7. Bottom row stays the same. Now that became my pivot. I should have circled it. I want to get a 0 here, so I'm going to take negative row 2 plus row 3. 0 and 1 is 1. Negative 1 and 1 is 0. Negative 3 and 1 is negative 2. Negative 7 and 4 is negative 3. Middle row stays the same. And I've already got a 0 here, so the bottom really just stays the same. First 2 columns are done. Okay, so the first 2 columns are done. I got to get a 1 where the negative 2 is. All I got to do is take a -1/2 times row 3. First row stays the same. And the bottom row, I'm multiplying by -1/2. -1/2 times -2 is 1. That becomes my pivot. -1/2 times 4 is 2. Okay, one more step. Now you got to get zeros. So on the top, I'm going to multiply 2 times row 3 plus row 1. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2 plus -2 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus -3 is 1. For the middle row, I'm going to take -3 times row 3 plus row 2. -3 times 0 is 0 plus 0 is 0. -3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. -3 times 1 is -3 plus +3 is 0. -3 times 2 is -6 plus 7 is 1. And the bottom row stays the same. So it looks like the answer is going to be, you got x equals 1, y equals 1, z equals 2, or is an order triple, 1, 1, 2. You could always go back and check your answers if you wanted to. Okay, what we got on page 3? Okay. On page 3, it says, number 8 says, what are the dimensions of B? So as you look at B, I see 3 rows, and I see 4 columns. So 3 by 4. Common mistake that people would do, if you had a question like that, they'll get it backwards and they'll put a 4 by 3. The rows come first. Number 9 is 4A plus C, so that's 4 times 4, 2, 5, 3, plus 2, 3, -1, 0. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2, that's going to be 18. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. 4 times 5 is 20, plus -1 is 19. And 4 times 3 is 12, plus 0 is 12. This would be a good time to use the calculator if you practice that. Okay, now we got 3 times 4, 2, 5, 3, minus 2 times 2, 3, -1, 0. Okay, so let's see. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4. 12 minus 4, that's going to be 8. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. Minus That's going to be negative 2. So minus a negative 2 becomes plus 2. So 15 plus 2 is 17. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus, that's going to be 0. So that's going to be 9. Okay, and number 11, it wants us to multiply 4, 2, 5, 3 times 2, 3, negative 1, 0. So when we multiply, remember you're taking rows times columns. Put this step in here. So when I take first row times first column, 4 times 2 is 8, plus negative 2 is 6. Okay, first row, second column, 4 times 3 is 12, 2 times 0 is 0, 12 plus 0 is 12. Second row, first column, 5 times 2 is 10, plus negative 3, it's going to be 7. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 0 is 15. Big thing on multiplication, make sure you just don't take 4 times 2 and 2 times 3 and like you would add and subtract. Okay, and then you got to find the inverse of A. You can either use the method you learned in the at the beginning of, what would that be, section 2.4, or you could use 2.5. It doesn't matter to me. But if you'll remember, the first thing you'd have to do on the first method is find D. So to find D, you're going to take 4 times 3 is 12, minus 5 times 2 is 10. So 12 minus 10 equals 2. Okay, so you're going to take 1/2 times, from what they said, you're going to interchange A and D. So the 3 comes up here, the 4 goes there. You make that negative 2, you make that negative 5. So half of 3 would be 3/2. Half of negative 2 would be negative 1. Half of negative 5 would be negative 5/2. And half of 4 is 2. Okay, and then the last one, it says solve using the inverse method. So if we set this up to begin with, you're going to have 2, 1, 1, 1 times the xy equals 21, 11. So xy will be equal to whatever the inverse is. I got to find that, times 21, 11. I'm out of room over there. Probably off the page, aren't they? So you set up, here's your matrix equation. So if you want to find xy, you're going to find the inverse. I'm just going to put that on top of it, times that 21, 11 there at the end. So A, come back over here, A will be equal to 2, 1, 1, 1. So the inverse will be equal to, now D is going to be equal to, it's going to be 2 minus 1, which is 1. So that's 1 over 1 out front. We switch the A and the D and take the opposite of these two guys. So my inverse is simply 1, negative 1, negative 1, 2, which I'm going to copy over here. So xy will simply be, when you multiply, 1 times 21 is 21. That's negative 11. 21 negative 11 is 10. Negative 1 times 21 is negative 21. 2 times 11 is 22. So negative 21 plus 22 is 1. So your x, y, matrix y is equal to that, or you could just simply write that as 10, comma, 1 for your answer. Okay, I hope that helped a little bit. Again, this is not exactly what your test is going to be like. I'm not really sure what your test is going to be like. But at least you're going to be ready for about anything now.